Good morning. Gary Kunis, C-section. I'm going to change this a little bit. Shall Article 6 of the chapter amended removing the provision 3E related to the physical contracting authority and limit the city's ability to enter in a public-private partnership have the ability to address growth by having future residents contribute to infrastructure costs, respond to emergency, use available financial instruments, including but not limited to bonds. Now let's take that apart. Sounds nice on there, make the people vote for it. But no, you don't want it. What that does is changes the limits on what the city can borrow to 17 million to whatever they want, which will put the costs on the taxpayers, the kids beyond, and so forth. And what's behind it is a $90 million stadium construction. Being that the forethought is never done, it could go over 100 million, which leaves it to the taxpayers. The interest, the bond design, the commissions to the brokers, the interest to the bondholders, the taxpayers' expense, initial costs, crafting of the bonds, lawyers, accountants, credit agencies, ratings like Moody, SP, Finch, the cost of marketing, support staff, management, advertising, who are the potential buyers, potential revenue, the insurance, the liability, at the taxpayer's expense. There's no forethought here. It's like the circus at the community center for the franchise fee to try to ram through 1/4% and say it was for roads. Where is the tax money from the gasoline sales go, which are for the roads? Waste Pro's contract had no extra costs in it, but you failed to tell us on the FCC contract that there's a cost of living adjustment, which means it's going to go up every year. That was never disclosed. It was hidden from us. This is a wrong thing to do. The way these things are worded, like the last questions, a no really meant a yes. And some of you voted yes, it really meant no. These things should be written in a proper thing so people understand them and what they're getting involved in and where the money's coming from. And there's no forethought here of where that money's coming from. And when I was as still are, a COP, changing the speed limits is not going to slow the people down. It's not going to stop them at the stop streets. They're going to go through them. They're going to turn right on stop streets without stopping. They're going to go through the traffic lights. Signs are not going to slow them down. I've seen it personally. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address me at this time? Seeing no one come forward, I'll close public comment. City Council, you have an opportunity to comment if you would like to.
I just heard what Mr. Kunis said, and I have to tell you, I agree 100%. This bond issue that we're placing on the ballot, this language needs to be clearly rewritten. It is intentionally misleading. It is deceptive. There is no transparency. What these bonds are, folks, is you are looking at giving the city council, the approval of pretty much an unlimited amount of money, where we right now are 36 months to have to pay it back at a $15 million cap. We are looking at just increasing that through the roof. And I got to tell you, I have a problem with this because you would be mortgaging your children and your grandchildren's future by approving these bonds. And the way this is written, there is nothing that tells you what this is. It's nothing that says we're removing a $15 million cap and the 36-month payback and setting a much higher amount. And I'm very, very disturbed about this because all of us on council, all of us were invited to a meeting with Rayonier, and we all know what this is about. It's about a $90 million stadium they want to build from your pocketbook. And I'm sorry, I think this language needs to be rewritten. I had a conversation with our attorney, and I asked that you rewrite the language. I hope you have something more transparent so people know what they're voting on. Okay. Do you? Mr. Duffy.
Well, these are comments, so let's...
This is now a question to our attorney. Do you have more concise, more language that explains to people if they're going to vote on this, what they're actually voting on?
Let me just help you with
I'm talking to our attorney, Mr. Mayor. I'm asked him a question. Do you have...
Yeah, but you're out of order.
I'm not out of order.
Well, you're going to be out of order
No, I'm not
now.
out of order. And Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm not out of order. I've asked a question.
Well,
Do not interrupt me, Alfin.
Excuse
Do
me.
you have?
Listen, I'm
do
gonna, if you.
You know what these are going to be called by the end of the day? Alfin bonds.
That's fine.
If we don't have this conversation,
Mr.
but do
Vice
not
Mayor,
interrupt.
Vice Mayor,
Listen
are you
to me,
referring?
Mayor.
are
No, you listen. All of us have a voice, and you do not get to shut us down. I asked our attorney
Not
a
shutting you
question.
down. I'm just trying to understand your question.
You don't need to understand it. He needs to
No,
understand
I need
it.
to understand it because I am the presiding officer of this meeting. Now, let me ask you a
Not
question.
get to shut me down.
Are you, I'm not shutting you
I'm
down.
asking a question of our attorney. I'd like an answer.
I'm going to ask you the question.
This is why you didn't elect this guy, huh, folks?
Did you?
I mean, seriously.
You voted in favor of this
And I'm
just
now
2 meetings
changing
ago.
it, but I want
That's what
to
I'm
know
trying
if
to
we have new
clarify.
language.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. You're going back on the vote that you made.
Yes,
2
I
weeks ago.
am.
Okay.
I
So
am.
now I'll allow the
Clarify.
question to the attorney.
I've asked him.
Counsel, do you have a question? An answer for the question?
Yes, Mr. Danko. So the language has not been changed based on what council asked us to draft previously by the vote. So I have not had any new direction from this council to change anything.
So
from
what
that.
you're proposing is basically dishonest, misleading, deceptive. It doesn't tell the voters one single thing what you would be voting on. And if you read the language, Mr. Duffy, to the audience here, please.
Hold on.
Yeah,
You
go
know
ahead.
what?
Now, I've asked Mr. Duffy to read the language to the voters.
Well, Mr.
And then I
Kunis-
want you guys to tell me if you understand a word this guy is saying.
Mr. Kunis just read the language, actually,
Right, and
to the
now I'm
voters.
asking our attorney, so it's official, and it's on the record.
And this is the language that you voted, you approved 2 meetings ago.
And I'm going to rescind that vote, however we
Well,
proceed.
okay,
But I'd like the public to hear this language,
We're
because we did
commenting on
not
public
know.
comment, yeah.
I did not know, when we voted on this language, I did not know what this was specifically for. It's for a $90
Why did you vote-
million
why-
stadium in the westward expansion.
Why did you
It's
vote
for
for
a
it?
company that makes billions of dollars.
Okay, why did you vote for it if you didn't know what you
Because I
voted for?
did not know
Okay.
where this was going. I did not know
right.
what this was for, and I now know the truth
Okay.
after that presentation, and I can't live with that.
Are you finished with your comment?
No, I'm waiting for our attorney to
I
read
don't
that
think.
language.
I don't think the attorney has, do you have an answer? I think you've answered.
I'm asking him to read the
Question's been
language.
asked and answered. Do you have additional answer?
I don't have any additional.
Okay.
I'm asking you to read the language of what we approved.
Go ahead.
You afraid of it?
Stop.
No, I'm not going to stop.
If council give me a second, I can bring it up on my computer.
Good.
I'm happy to
Thank
read
you.
it.
And you folks tell me if you understand what you're being asked
No,
to
this
vote
is-
on.
I
your
have it. Do
comment
you
about
want me to
what-
read it? I have it up.
Go ahead.
Shall Article 6 of the Charter be amended by removing Provision 3E related to fiscal contracting authority that limit the city's ability, without voter approval, from entering into contracts and incurring debt with repayment terms greater than 36 months and amounts greater than, I'm sorry, that's not the right language. I apologize. It says, shall Article 6 of the Charter be amended by removing Provision 3E related to fiscal contracting authority that limit the city's ability to enter into public-private partnerships, have the ability to address growth by having future residents contribute to infrastructure costs, respond to emergencies, and use available financial instruments, including but not limited to bonds. That's the language that you voted on.
Do you folks understand what that means? Anyone?
Wait,
Raise your
wait,
hand.
No, this is for you.
Raise
to-
your hand.
Stop.
You understand? No, I don't either.
Okay. Are you finished with your, hold on.
I'm not finished.
All right, well,
Because
let's-
what it means by future generation is your children and your grandchildren will be paying for this.
Okay.
Okay, and right now, we're not limited on any of those things in that language. It's all fluff. We can do bonds for infrastructure. We can do bonds for anything we want that's in that language. We're not limited. We're limited by the cap of the amount and how it gets paid back. So all you've done is fill this with fluff. And now I find out what it's really for. It's for a stadium.
All right.
A stadium.
All right.
We're not, the Miami Dolphins moving to Palm Coast? I don't think so.
All right. I need
What
you
are we gonna do with the
I need you
stadium?
to finish your comment.
Well, my comment is very simple. This
Finish
is
it up.
wrong.
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
rescind my vote. I
All
want
right.
this council to reconsider
Okay.
this, rewriting the language, which needs to be written before September 5th, or it's on the ballot with the gobbledygook you all just heard. So we either need to be honest and transparent and not deceptive, Or we need to remove
right.
this from the ballot. Now, if the
You've
rest
made your
of you want to
comment.
be deceptive, I can't
You've
help
made
it.
your comment. Okay, thank you.
Because it is deception.
You've made your comment. City Councilwoman Pontieri. Comment. Do you have a comment?
I'm going to address that at the end. I want to address more public comment before we get to that. First of all, with regards to the folks that came out about the Flagler Humane Society, Ms. Thompson and Mr. Hunter, I have received emails about the animal cruelty case that was brought up, and I did research into it. And if you'll just give me one moment, I will pull up information for you, and I want to make this public because I think that if you want action to be taken, it might take some public pressure. So if you wish to have the prosecutors move forward on this, I think that that's a good idea, but I think it's going to take a little bit more work to get that done. Give me 1 second, I apologize, I'm looking.
Do you want to mention the upcoming meeting?
Yes, while I'm looking for this.
City manager can do that for you.
Yeah, we do have a meeting, a joint city-county meeting of city manager can talk about that because this subject is on it.
It'll
It's a
be public.
meeting, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Councilwoman Pontieri. There is per City Council's direction at their last business meeting, they requested a joint City of Palm Coast and Flagler County Commission meeting that's scheduled for tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. at the Government Services Building. We'll cover 3 topics. That was the request. We will cover the Humane Society. We will cover some congestion and traffic concerns on State Road 100, and we'll cover using sheriff impact fees and services from the sheriff. So those 3 items are on the agenda for tomorrow evening.
Yeah, so I would definitely come out, bring your ideas that you have regarding the Humane Society, possible solutions, things of that nature, because my hope is that the city and the county can work together to come up with a resolution. So please come out to that. Specifically, the information I was given is that the Flagler County Sheriff's Office has completed its investigation that was specifically brought up to me via email about animal cruelty. Charges are pending a review from the state attorney's office. If you want to inquire as to the case number, it is 2024-0005055. I'll email you, Mr. Hunter, that case number. And Ms. Thompson, if you want to email me, you're welcome to, and I'll send it to you as well. So if you want to inquire, that's what you would inquire about. With regards to the speed limit, it was going to cost us $1.5 million to lower the speed limit citywide. It is something that we looked into. It's something that we wanted to do as council, but unfortunately, we have limited funds as to what we can do. It doesn't mean we absolutely won't do it in the future. It's just not something that we can afford in our budget this year. We are taking other steps to calm traffic throughout the city, so definitely keep an eye out for those steps. With regards to the dump truck, city manager, can you comment on that? Because we spoke about that, and I believe that steps are being taken to force use of alternative routes. So Point Pleasant, well, I'm bringing it up in the sunshine so that hopefully something else can be done.
Yes, Councilwoman Pontieri, that's also a matter on your agenda today, the approving the final plat of Ponce Preserve. So Mr. Leap will be here to answer any questions, but we did reach out and speak to the contractor about minimizing that disruption.
Thank you. Okay, now, this charter amendment. I specifically remember you and I sat here, Vice Mayor, and we together worked on the language of the proposed amendment to make it more transparent. You and I crafted this language from what was previously proposed in order to add the verbiage for bonds. You recall that, I'm sure.
I do recall
Okay,
that.
so we specifically proposed changes to make this charter amendment more transparent, and then we all, as a council, voted on it. Now, if your position is that you think that the alternative motive to this charter amendment is so that a, quote, stadium can be built out in the western expansion, I can tell you from my perspective, that is not why this is being done. Now, does it allow us to enter into private-public partnerships?
But so does the amendment, so
I
does
did
the
not,
charter the
I
way it
did not
stands.
interrupt you.
Let the
I did not
councilwoman
interrupt
finish.
you.
Go ahead,
Please.
go ahead.
Allows us to enter into public-private partnerships. It also allows us to enter into certain leases via public-private partnerships that we could not previously enter into, specifically that were over 36 months long. Now, with regards to, so can that be used for a potential sports complex that we have done a lot of research on and looked at and seen that it will bring hundreds of millions of sports tourism dollars into our community? Yes, we have done research on that. Matter of fact, Public Records shows a sports tourism report that shows both passive and active dollars that can bring into our community. I am a very big proponent of that opportunity because I, from the moment I took this seat, have been pushing for commercial development and economic development. Now, it is a concern for me that you are throwing up a red flag about a sports complex when you've approved every single residential zoning variance that has come before this board and increased dwelling units. This is an opportunity to invest in commercial in our community that will bring dollars back into the community, first of all. Secondly, shake your head all you want, that's the truth.
It's not.
Right.
It's not.
If
It's not.
we go out to borrow monies, we have to prove that we can pay it back, just like any other loan that we enter into.
Yeah.
Just like any other loan. So we have to prove a credit rating. We have to prove that we have the ability, whether that's through monies that are coming into the community, through sports tourism, or whatever else it may be, taxes, specifically bed taxes, all of these things that this can be a catalyst for. We can't borrow unless we can prove that. So it's not a blank check that we can just write. It's not. You are acting ignorant right now.
I'm sorry?
You are
Excuse
acting
me?
ignorant right
You'll
now.
have your
Excuse
chance,
me?
you'll have your
You're going to
chance.
insult
All right,
me? I
listen.
haven't insulted you.
Vice Mayor.
Yes,
No, I
you
haven't.
did.
I'm
I
gonna,
haven't.
hold on,
You don't
hold on.
call me ignorant.
I am going to stop this meeting,
Well,
which is my prerogative. If
stop
you're not
it.
gonna stop this,
You can stop it.
I
but
will,
for her to
I
sit
will.
there and
So
insult
mark
me
my
like
words,
that.
I will absolutely stop this
Well, then-
meeting if y'all can't talk
Well, then,
with some decorum.
I did not insult her.
You did.
All right,
No, I
stop.
didn't. I didn't call you
All
a
right,
name.
She's speaking, close your
No,
mouth.
no. She insults me again, I'm not going to stop.
Fine, you know what, but by saying that we all agreed on something because we want to take out money against the children of this community's future,
That's what we're doing.
no, it's not. That is an incorrect statement.
You
That is an
attended-
incorrect
You
statement.
attended a meeting
Let's-
at Michael Chimento's office
let's-
with Rand.
let's-
Yes,
let's-
every
let's
council
move-
member
let's
did.
move this forward.
I was informed at
Hold on.
that meeting.
Vice
I was
Mayor,
informed at
no.
that meeting.
Vice Mayor, you
that
don't
if
have the
this
floor.
bond-
Vice Mayor, I'm going to stop the damn meeting in a second. Let the councilwoman finish her comments, then you'll have your turn, okay? Not both at the same time. Councilman Pontieri, please, complete your comments.
I will directly answer your question. I cannot speak for anybody else, but with regards to what the plans are for the westward expansion, that are not set in stone, by the way, yes, I think we all have had those meetings. But to say that this is specifically this allows us to do that, you are correct, but that is not why it's being done. So to convey that to the community, you are misrepresenting what this is doing. And it's dangerous, councilman. It's dangerous what you're doing. And yes, it is, because you're misrepresenting something that is simply not true. We have to apply as any other borrower for credit would have to apply. We are not
Okay.
immune from that.
You got the point.
Let me
Now-
answer
You got the
your-
point.
I will apologize for calling you
Thank you.
ignorant. I will say the statements that are being made are an ignorant.
They're my
ignorant
opinion,
statement.
they're
Okay,
not
hold on,
yours.
wait.
Okay,
Councilman
that's fine.
Clufus.
Period. Hold on, you said I could
no,
respond,
you've already-
and I'm
hold on.
going to respond.
Hey, wait, you've had your
You
turn.
said
It's
I could-
Councilman Clufus.
You
Next,
just said I
I
could
will get to
respond.
you when I'm ready.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah,
ready.
well, you know what?
Or, you know where the door is.
Oh,
You know where the door is.
You know where
Help
the door
yourself
is.
to it. No,
I
I'm
think
the officer
public
of the
has
meeting.
shown him the door. I don't know
Councilman
about you folks.
Clufus, do you have
Seriously.
comments? We're on public comment. Do you have any comments regarding today's public comment?
I don't think changing the speed limit signs is going to slow anybody down, Mr. Kunez, you know? I got to tell you, I don't think that changing the speed limit signs will slow anybody down. Besides that, nope, I think that covered all of it. Very good.
Fine, Mike.
All right,
wants to
Vice
answer.
Mayor, I will come back to you. I don't want
No,
anyone, hold on,
you
just a minute. I don't want anyone to interrupt the Vice Mayor. He has an opinion.
Thank
Let him
you.
go for it, and then after that, we'll
We were all
conclude this
invited
section of
to
the
a
agenda.
meeting.
Go ahead.
And I was told at that meeting, and I assume you were told the same thing I was, that if we didn't approve these bonds, the company building the stadium would exit and leave the westward expansion. That's what I was told, and that's now what's changed my mind.
Okay,
I
good.
don't like something like that hanging over us, that if we don't approve $90 million to build that stadium, they're going to lose that company, and it's all going to fall apart. $90 million of your money.
Okay.
And that's what concerns me. So yes, I am changing my opinion
Okay.
on this with new information. And I urge this council.
That's your comment. Okay.
I urge this council to rewrite this language in such a way that it tells you, honestly, what they are doing. And they are basically removing a $15 million cap on bonds and a 36-month payback on bonds and replacing it with an unlimited, unspecified, undefined amount.
You've made your comment repeatedly.
You said I could
You've made
speak
it repeatedly,
uninterrupted, so
but
I am going to
Yeah, but
speak
no.
uninterrupted.
3 times is enough.
No.
So finish up.
See, he's afraid. That's
Finish
the
up.
truth, folks.
Finish
He's afraid.
up. Finish up your comment.
He's afraid.
Vice Mayor, are you finished?
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to be on board
Okay.
with this at all.
All right,
You
we
folks
understand.
need to know
Got it.
about it.
Councilwoman Pontieri.
Deceptive and disingenuine, and it's disgusting, folks. And
Vice
in
Mayor,
case-
repeating yourself-
In case nobody up here
repeating
gets
yourself
it,
doesn't help.
In case
Doesn't help
nobody
the
up here
comment.
gets it,
Okay.
you voted us all out. And this is one of the reasons why.
Okay.
And so I want you to know I hear your voice, I hear what you're saying, so I am now speaking out against this, and I'm going to fight like hell to make sure if this gets on the ballot with this fraudulent language, I'm going to be out there fighting like hell to defeat
Vice
this.
Mayor, you made your comment.
Thank
You made
you.
your point. We understand. Councilman Pontieri, last crack here.
Yeah, so I was not given that information that you say you were told about any company that would leave if...
I was.
Clearly, you just said that, but I'm
Okay,
I'm
make your
letting the
comment so we
public...
can move on.
I'm letting the public know that I was not told that. I have no issue readdressing the amendment language. What I have an issue with is not doing due diligence and research prior to a very important vote, which I think is kind of run rampant by some on this board. So the research should have been done before the vote, not afterwards, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I will say, I have been sent proposed language. I'm happy to share it with my colleagues. And it does mention the $15,000. It does mention the 15 million, I'm sorry, you're right. $15 million, it does mention the 36 months. I don't know, I do know from a charter standpoint, I believe our policies and procedures, council, if you could, how are we able to rescind the previous vote and reevaluate, or has that time passed?
Theoretically, that time has not passed. However, if you would amend this charter language, it would have to go back for 2 read-throughs again, and it would not make the ballot.
And this is not even on today's agenda.
I know, but it is now, and I'm fine
No,
with...
it's not on today's agenda.
I'm fine with removing this vote.
Okay.
And letting
You've
the
made your
next
point.
council deal with this.
You've made your point.
This is too important to just shove this on a ballot with this clearly misleading language. So if we cannot amend it, and that's based on what I've learned too, by the way, which you now have learned, which should concern us all. And I think that if we can't rewrite this language today, and I don't see why we can't rewrite this language today, why we can't amend it. I have language I would like to replace this with, and I don't see what prevents us from amending this, because I know you want to get it on a ballot, but if it's impossible to amend, then I think we need to remove it from the ballot.
I have a question and possible solution before I get cut off again. If we were to rescind and talk about language of this amendment, and maybe it's put off until the end of the meeting so that we can get to the business that is on the agenda, but then we were to set a special business meeting on September 3rd after the workshop, could we theoretically have those 2 reads and approvals for it to make the ballot?
I don't know, I can't remember the top of my head when it's due for a ballot. Maybe the city manager might be able to remember, but I don't know, I don't think it's going to work in that time frame.
So originally, the supervisor of election had shared with us August 5th. That's why it was heard back in July. But I'm not sure now with the discussion of the Council 4 seat, if that's changed or if that's set in stone. I do know that whenever we do an ordinance read, we do have to advertise that ordinance read. So if you were going to change any type of language, it would need to be advertised for a certain amount of time.
So we couldn't do that today then?
Then let's remove it from the ballot and let the next
Vice Mayor, you want to make a
council deal
motion?
with it. I'm making a motion where you remove this from the ballot.
Okay.
And let the next council deal with it.
Is that your motion?
If we can't, for some
Is
reason...
that your motion?
If we can't rewrite this, and I still don't see
No,
why
no,
we can't, because if we can put a candidate on the ballot by September 5th, we could put rewritten language on
Are
it.
you making a motion?
I'm just asking, are you sure about this, and is this just your opinion?
Well, hold on, because
Like,
city
I want to make
manager-
sure that
Wait,
we're on
asking
solid
counsel,
ground.
asking counsel, just a second.
I want to make sure we're on solid ground, that it's not just a legal
Are you going to
opinion.
listen to the answer? Come on.
Yes.
So it's, my analysis is based on that we need to have two read-throughs. So based on prior discussions that staff has had with the supervisor election, that the date has passed to amend it. So
But yet, I'm confused because the date is not passed for us to put a candidate on the ballot.
You don't need
What's the difference?
two reads?
I
don't
don't have that answer for you.
So I suggest then that we rewrite this language and submit it to the supervisor of election and see
So
what
are you
happens.
making a motion?
Hold on, because the city manager just told us that we have to notice an ordinance read. And
Right.
we have not done that.
Right.
So are we out of compliance by failing to notice? If we amend now, that would be amending the ordinance. So are we failing the notice requirements by taking that step?
Excuse me, that's what I'm talking about when we have the two read-throughs. The two read-throughs gives a notice of that going through the process. So we have to give those notice to the public.
So
So
when
are
we
we out of
rewrote it-
Are we out of compliance if we kind of sua sponte on our own right now, amend the language? Are we out of compliance with the notice requirements?
Sorry, can you reword your question one more time?
Or are we out of compliance with the notice requirements for ordinances if we do this today because we did not notice it as an ordinance read? Are we out of compliance with the notice requirements if we amend the ordinance today?
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
So I have a question then. When we rewrote this the first time, remember, did we have to give another 2-week notice?
It was on the agenda that day, though.
It was on the agenda, but then we rewrote it and came back again.
Yes.
Did
And
we
approved it.
every time we did a rewrite, we had to give a 2-week notice?
Yeah, because then we gave because it was on the agenda, and then you guys approved it.
Right.
Right.
So if I'm remembering how we did this, we made the amendments, all right, then it was put out for a notice, came back to you guys. I don't remember if we made any more amendments after that. Then it was put out for notice, and then you guys voted on it.
Okay. Well, then I guess my motion
So you're in the middle of a motion, so let's get that done.
is
What's your
to
motion?
remove
Okay,
this from the ballot.
Okay.
And let the next council deal with it.
that's the motion. So there is a motion. Is there a second?
Well,
No second, the motion
shame
fails. So now
on
move
you
on.
all for deceiving the public.
All right, we move
Shame
on to
you,
our
Mayor Alfin.
Vice Mayor.
Shame on
Are
you.
you going to disrupt the meeting? Because I will stop the meeting, give you time, or ask you to leave, either way.
Shame on you.
Okay. We now move on to the presentation for the final proposed budget for all appropriated funds. So,
Doesn't count.
ma'am, you're a member of the public, no?
That's the problem. That's what it is.
You're not part of the voting process on city council.
We the people.
Read the charter.
It doesn't matter. You're acting like we're not even here. I support it.
Ladies, when you're ready.
You guys are voting on something that you.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to leave the meeting in a minute if you can't follow the agenda.
But rude. Let them speak.
Ladies, please proceed.
So good morning.